That way. Well, it looks like that we are live.
When I go outside, I am going to go work. I had that shirt. He's like a love hate character. What is my jacket? I thought I got up early enough to straighten my hair and everything. I could wear it down. Which then I was like, it's probably hot. But then one of my cats was trying to break out. The dog spooked it break, and then the other one had to. I'm glad I got up early, though, so I can handle all that. I think my cat's super name artist. About to escape her tail, right some bits. What I got going on?
All right, we got like 1 minute before we get started.
That's the sheets.
Sure.
There's one right there. There's one right there. I'll take it over here. There's one down here.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Monday.
Happy Monday. My phone says it's exactly 9 o'clock, and that thing is pretty close to 9 o'clock, so we're in pretty good shape. Yeah, they'll come. So remember this morning that we need to get our sign-in sheets completed. We have HHSC sign-in sheets, and we have tap sheets going around. Put your name on the appropriate sheet, and y'all turn that in at the end of the class. Make sure that it's legible so that I can read it. It doesn't do us any good if it's not legible. We'll be cutting the training off this morning a little bit early. Not much, 2 or 3 minutes. I have a meeting that I have to go to. I do want to apologize to both groups. I didn't get the pre and post assessments done. Well, I had computer problems, and we're still having computer problems at the office that I'm in over at North. So we have to get that figured out. I'm hoping that today that'll be rectified, and we'll be doing all right with that. This week we're going to be looking closely at families, and I'm pretty sure I'm looking at it myself here, and I don't think you can see that very well at North. But look, this is just 3 different people, and they have some different personalities that they're showing up here this morning. And one of the things that we want to be cautious about is borderline personality traits. And sometimes we have that, but more than that, we're talking about this morning and going forward this week a little bit about borderline behavior traits. And so we need to understand what that is. But because it's Monday morning and because we're on Family Day, I want to go over the family thing that we have here. And this is on page 21 in your book. So everybody needs to have brought their book to class. If you didn't bring your book, you can't work in your book. And you can't look in your book. And you can't be having your book. So you got to have your book. So here's the deal. If you are just beginning, then you don't jump ahead or anything like that. But this is all the way back toward the beginning. And y'all apologize. Sorry. My phone won't fit on. So we're on page 21. Now, it does not have a number on that one. Okay? So you go to page 20, and then you jump over to the next page. And it looks like this. So it's got all of the things. It shows us the 4 things that we are really focusing on here in this program. And so this is where your treatment plan gets involved in that and all of those kinds of things. So we look at physical health. We take a week to look at physical health. We take a week to look at emotional health. We take a week to look at physical health. And then we take a week to look at family health. And then what do? We start over. So we're on page 21. So don't just bring your book. It's important that you go through the book with us. Don't just bring it. It don't help for you just to have it. I want you to have it and be studying in it. So we're going to look at this. Look, when we get out of here, who are we going back to? Family. A lot of us are. Some of us know that that's going to be a very dangerous place for us to go, and we're not going there. And that's okay. That's okay. But a lot of the times we don't have that ability to do that, do we? The only place that we have to go is to our family. So we need to take a look at how, what our family situation is and how that's going to affect my recovery. Because let me tell you something. Your recovery, for right now, our recovery has to be more important than our family relationship. Now, we got to have good family relationships to help us in our recovery. However, if our family is not people who are going to help us, then they're people that we need to avoid. Look, I know that's a hard thing, but we just need to accept that fact. Now, here's the deal. There's 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yep, there's 5 different situations that we could be in our family relationships. And we need to look at that real quickly. We're not going to stay on this long, but we're going to look at it real quickly. The first one is estranged. What does that mean?
Away from.
Away from? Yeah, away from, maybe not physically, but away from emotionally, away from spiritually, away from just in all sorts of ways. It says here, look, you have multiple family estrangements, broken relationships that may be in various stages of turmoil. You are actively avoiding or in direct conflict with more than one family member, trusted friends, or partner. So, does that sound like a good place for us to be with our family member?
No.
No. That's a pretty. If I'm estranged from my family, that's a pretty bad place to be. Now, what's the only situation that I can find myself in where I would want to be estranged from my family?
If they're toxic or like harmful.
Yeah, if the situation was harmful to me. Here's the deal. If I'm in recovery, would that cause me to be estranged from my family?
No.
No?
Yeah.
What if my family is still using? Yeah, then I'm estranged from my family. If I'm that one that's the outlier, if everybody else in my family is drinking beer every night, see nothing in the world wrong with the drinking beer every night, is it a bad thing to drink beer every night?
Yeah.
If you're not in recovery, if you don't have any alcohol problems, then you can have a beer every night. That's not a big deal. It is a big deal to us, right? Well, we have an addiction problem, so therefore we can't. Not only can we not have a beer every night, we can't be around people who do have a beer every night. So in some instances, it's okay for me to be estranged from my family, right? It is. Because if they are using, I'm not going to be around those people. I can't afford to be around those people. So we need to look right now at and what our study is showing us. I need to understand where I am with my family. When I was in my addiction, I had some real issues with my family. I have five sisters and two brothers. Of those five sisters and two brothers, there's only one of them that really wanted to have anything to do with me. And he was helping me in my addiction because he was in his addiction and we were helping each other get high. That's how that works. But my whole family, I was estranged from my whole family. They didn't want to fool with me at all. Now that doesn't mean that they weren't using, they were. But they didn't want to be on the level I was on. So they didn't want to fool with me at all. So I was pretty much estranged from my family and still am. Because we moved from Mississippi over here to Texas and we just have not gone back. Now in October we're going to Alabama. I have a cousin that lives in Alabama and he won't he uses, but he won't use around me, and I've never seen him use and all of that stuff, but he's one of those people who grow his own grapes and stuff and makes his own wine and all. But, he's a survivalist and all of that kind of crazy mess. But I never see any of that. When I get there, years and years and years ago, we went and visited with him, and we went and did something. When we came back, he had 5 or 6 bottles of wine and all of that stuff. And he said, "Man, we're going to taste some of my wine." And I said, "No, we're not, because I'm an alcoholic. And I have a problem with alcohol and stuff like that there." And he said, "Okay." I went to the bathroom, came back, and it was all gone. And I have never, ever seen it since that time. So that's a good thing. Yeah, because he is in support. He didn't know, and so once he knew, okay, that's a good thing. So we do look. It's a good thing to be able to improve my relationship with my family, because that's my family, right? I want to be able to improve my relationship with my family. I went back after 20 years. I came to Texas, didn't tell them where I was. They didn't know where I was, all that stuff. Got married over here, all that stuff, had kids. Decided to go back and say, okay, it's 20 years later. So I went back to Mississippi to talk to, meet all those people. Went to my sister's house, and it was just in a state of disrepair. So I went to the cousins, and I said, "What happened?" They said, "Oh, man, I'm sorry to tell you, but she died." Okay. All right. So where's my brother-in-law? She said, I'm sorry to tell you, but he died. So, okay, that's sad, you know. And then I said, well, I'm going to go and visit with my nephew. I know he had a nice new home over there 20 years ago. I'm going to go. They said, I'm sorry, but he died. So he was a whole lot younger than me, and I said, well, what on earth happened to him? He got divorced. His wife ran off and left him. So he went off in the woods, sat down by a tree, put his shotgun in his mouth, and pulled the trigger. How do you pull the trigger on a shotgun? You know, that's a long gun. Use your toe. He used his toe. Took his boot off and pulled the trigger. So what did I tell you? You never know what's going to go on with your family. So at some point, we need to work toward reconciling our family as long as it's not going to bother my recovery. Now, if I had gone back over there and those people were still using, and if they had, you know, they're all dying like, you know, everybody does, and that could that have bothered my sobriety? Yeah, it could have. It could have bothered my recovery. I wasn't there to watch it happen. I wasn't there to watch that kid blow his brains out and all of that kind of stuff, and it was a sad thing, but I wasn't there. So that might be a good deal, right? So we got to be, but at some point, we want to make sure that the family that I have left over there, I have a cousin and his wife, and that's it. And that's who we're going to go visit when we have a good relationship. The second one, look, we have a place where if we move a little bit up, just not a whole lot, but we move a little bit up, we have a place where our relationship is a little bit insecure. You know, with our families, you've maintained many, if not most, family relationships, but some are all in a state of insecurity. Others see a need for change, however, past actions or conflicts have damaged the relationship's stability. Here's the deal. If you have a family that's not using in a bad way and they're doing well and you've got a good, strong, stable family over there, but you've been that one that has caused a lot of heartache and caused a lot of mess, that can cause you to have an insecure family life, right? So if you've been into the alcohol and you've used alcohol and drugs to excess and you've spent all your money and all your time trying to get the drug and trying to do, you know, have the behavior that you want, hanging in the bars, doing all of those kinds of things, standing on the street corner and doing all those kinds of things, then these people may not want you around them, right? So that's an insecure situation that you have there. You know, it's I do know that some of the stuff that I did, my family wouldn't want me to be around them. So how do you repair that?
Long distance.
Say it again.
Long distance.
Long distance. That may be sometimes it's good to do that long distance. You may need to do what's called a geographical escape. Get away from them. Look, time does a lot of good for a lot of things, doesn't it? And there's a saying that says time heals all wounds. Is that true?
Yes.
Not necessarily. I know some people that, man, 30, 40 years later, they still aren't going to have anything to do with you.
That's their problem.
That is their problem. But it's still, time doesn't heal all wounds. Sometimes I have to do a little something. What does the big book tell us I have to do? Make amends. Sometimes I have to go to those people and say, look, I know what I did, and I know what I did was wrong, and I know what I did personally to you, right? I know what I did, and so I'm going to make amends. I want to just apologize for that, and, if they accept that, is that a good thing? Of course it is. Yeah, I want them to accept it. When I come trying to make amends to you, I want you to accept it. But what if they don't accept it? Is that okay? It's okay. It's not about them. It's about you. I've done what I can do. You can't go back and change that. You did that. Whatever that is, you did that. So we can't go back and change the junk we did. But we can be sorry about it. And we can have in our minds and in our hearts, and we're not going to ever do that again. Not only to that person, I'm not going to do that to any other person. I'm just not going to do that anymore. I have changed. I'm a new person. I'm not going to do all that. And I'm going to go and I'm going to let that person know that. A lot of the times, the stuff that we've done is so egregious that those people don't care. They don't want to receive it. They certainly don't believe it. And so they're not going to say, okay, man, everything is fine. I've done some amends, and I've gone and I've had people tell me that. I've had people cry and hug me and say, man, that's fine. You were drunk like a stupid. You were just crazy. It doesn't, you're okay. It's all that. But then I've lost friends and family that never want to have anything to do with me again. And that's okay. That's where I am right now. So, if I've got some strain on my family, I have the very first thing that I need to do is look at my family members and decide whether or not I want those family members to be part of my life and I want to be part of their life. If I look at my family and I think maybe my family is going to be dangerous to me, dangerous to my recovery, or I'm going to be a danger to them, it might be a better thing for me to just stay estranged, right? Just stay away. Sometimes that's the best thing for everybody involved. But it's a real sad shame that we can't be a loving family and we can't have loving family members, right? We need to be, it's a good thing because, one of the basic needs that we have is love and belonging. We need to have that loving belonging. And usually and hopefully we can reach out to our families for love and belonging, and they can do the same thing for us because no matter what, even if you are not a very good child, even if you're not a very good family member, you're still a family member. Right? You are still, they can't, I've had people tell me, well, we've disowned him. Okay, well, that's a word, not an action. You can't do that. That person's still your baby boy. That person is still your daughter. That person is still your aunt, your uncle, whatever they are, that bloodline's still running and you're still part of that. So, but they may not want to have anything to do with you. That's an entirely different situation. If they don't want to have anything to do with you, that's okay. That's all right. But they cannot say you are not. And I've had some family member say some stuff like that. Yeah. You don't belong here no more. Okay. Well, you might be right about that. Maybe I don't belong here, but look, I'm still, your brother. You're still, my oldest brother he's retired many moons ago, but he was an FBI agent. And he was a Marine, and then he was an FBI agent. He walked around like that, wore a black suit with pinstripe little pencil necktie, and I had to tell him, we called him Junebug. That's not his name. We called him Junebug, and he'd pull up to the house, and he'd get out and come in, and he drove a big black car with black wheels with no hubcaps. And I told him, look, Junebug, that looked like an FBI car. When you pull up, it looked like the FBI is out front of the house. And then when you get out, all doubt is gone. Everybody looks at that and says, yep, that's the FBI. So if you're trying to get here incognito, you ain't making it. It ain't going to work. You got to look like that. Had his gun behind his back, all this kind of stuff. And everybody could tell who he was when he got out of the car, But he's one of those that, he didn't care about me at all. Because, I went to the Army, not the Marine Corps. That was one problem. And then I couldn't handle, my liquor and stuff like that. And so he didn't like that. So he didn't have anything. He came visited once or twice. But that was pretty much it. So, he's one of those. But that's okay. Yes, sir, you had something? Way back, you had something? You had your hand up, so.
He was a man in black.
Yeah, he was. No? Okay. All right, so, it's a shame, but he and I were not friendly with each other for a long, 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 long time. So, at some point, did you have something?
I was just saying he was the alien. He was the man.
Yeah, I was the alien. He was the man in black. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, and my little brother and myself, we both went in completely different directions than he did. His last job that I know of was to be. He was in the local college there in Mississippi, looking for people who were using marijuana. That was his whole thing, trying to find the people who were selling marijuana. So that's his whole thing. So, and I was smoking it, and he was arresting people. So it was. That's why we didn't have a whole lot in common. Yeah, no matter how much of that stuff he collected up, he wouldn't give me any of it. That was bad. So sometimes we get to another place, we can move a little bit forward in that scenario and get to a place where we're kind of in the middle ground when it comes to our family. It says, look, your relationships are founded on solid connections with your family, but you struggle due to your current situation. For the most part, those around you are supportive, and you feel they have a sincere desire to see you improve. Yes, sir.
No,
You're just raising your, okay, just help, okay, I understand. All right, so this is telling us at some point, there's a lot of people out there that have a good, solid family. And that family is a good, they can be supportive and they can love on you and all of that stuff. I have seen so many people where their family have sent them to treatment 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times. That sound like a supportive family? Yeah, that's a supportive family. Yeah, I love my kids. I've got 3 of them, and then I got a whole passel of grandkids and stuff like that. And none of them at this point need any of that stuff. But if they did, I think that I would be willing to send them to treatment. I'd love to send, I wouldn't love to send my kids here, but if they needed it, this would be one of the places I would be willing to send them. And because I would be certainly supportive of them making the decision to get into recovery. Right? And some of us have families like that. So here's the deal. If we're making a decision whether or not we need to be in contact with our family, is this the type of family we want to be in contact with? Yeah. A good, supportive family. Somebody that's going to support you. Does that mean this family is totally dry? They're not drinking or not using at all? No, it doesn't. Because it's legal and it's socially acceptable to use alcohol. Now, it's not a good thing for me to use alcohol. I can't. And also, by the same token, it's not okay for me to be around you if you're using alcohol. And it's not okay for me to be around my family if they're using alcohol, right? Right. But this family here, if they're supportive of me and if they care about me, I won't be able to find any alcohol at their house. And alcohol is going to be gone. Now, I'm also not going to see those guys having a glass of wine with their meal. I'm not going to be able to see them cutting the grass out front and having a nice cold beer while they're doing that. My lawnmower, I bought me a lawnmower several years ago, and it has a cup holder over here where that, fits a beer can perfectly. Now it don't fit. I've got, my wife drinks bottled water out of the 20-ounce bottle, and then I had to buy some 16-ounce bottles of water because that's what will fit in my lawnmower cup holder. But it is set up for beer. I mean, because a Coke can or a beer can will fit right in that hole. So they knew what guys were going to be drinking when they're out cutting grass. So if you have a good supportive family and they're out cutting the grass and stuff, you're not going to be able to walk out and find them with a Budweiser on their lawnmower.
It's kind of hard to cut the yard out.
After a while, yeah, you're running off in the ditches and everything. You know, if you drink enough of it. But yeah, you know, the point is that they're not going to display the fact that they have the ability to do that. Because the difference between the normie and us is that they do have the ability to do that. They go cut the grass and drink a beer. And then go in and have supper and go to bed. If I go cut the grass and have a beer, what am I going to do?
You ain't gonna do the yard.
Well, I might finish the yard because I'm a pretty good guy. So I might finish the yard. But I'm going to get in my car and go to the bar. The yard is finished. My job is finished, but I've got alcohol in my system.
Gonna go get another.
I'm going to go get another one. Addiction is like that. When I'm addicted to other stuff as well. And so yesterday at church, after church, we had pizza at our church. You know, we have something special every Sunday. It's called Wow Church. And so we have something to wow everybody after church. So we had all different types of pizza, you know, and we had Supremes and all of that stuff. And we had all the people back there eating pizza and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm not supposed to eat pizza. But I ate some pizza. You know, I ate a couple of pieces of pizza. It was pretty good. But then after that, you know, I had this craving for a little bit of something sweet.
Ice cream.
I would love some ice cream. I didn't get any ice cream, but I wanted some. But we have some stuff back there for the kids. We have this great big old white thing, and I pulled it down and I opened it up, and guess what? There was those little bitty Kit Kats in there, about that long. I said, well, I can have one of those.
I like it.
Yeah, they're good. I said, I can have one of those. That's not going to bother me, so I'm just going to eat one of those. So what happened? I ate that one. Sugar flooded into my body, and my brain said, that was good. That was good. That was really good. You know what? You did a good job preaching today. You bought all this pizza. You helped everybody get pizza. You deserve another one of them. Because they ain't but that big. They just little bitty things, so I ate another one. Then what? Yes, sir?
I put 15 packages of sugar in my coffee.
Yeah, we put, you know, look at that. He put enough sugar in his coffee over there. So anyway, before I left from there, I got me one more of those things, and so I'd eaten 3 of them. And then on the way home, my wife was with me, so I couldn't stop and get anything. But what she does, she's not a diabetic. She has a place on the couch where she sits, watches television, and eats those little kisses, one after the other. So she went to the kitchen and she's feeding her dog and she's making his food and everything. She feeds him better than she feeds me, you know what I'm saying? And she's making his food and getting it all ready and everything. And it ran through my mind, that girl can't see me. So I went over there and she got this big old bucket full of those things. So I opened them up, got about 6 of them out, closed it up, ate those things real quick. And, you know, okay, that's it, that's all. So I'm sitting down there, and she comes after it's all over with. She comes, we're watching some television, and she gets her kisses out, and she opens them up. And I'm sitting there in my attic mind. I said, hey, baby, can I have one of them? Because she don't know I've eaten all that other candy at church, and she don't know I stole the candy because I'm a thief, you know. So she don't know I stole that. So instead of handing me one out of the bucket, she hands me the bucket. Because she thinks that's all I've had all day long, right? So I'm reaching in the bucket and I get about 6 more of them. Yeah, you know, and I give it back to her, and you know, and I eat all of those, and my sugar's up to like 400, and your sugar was up to 400 the other day, you know, and that stuff stays with you. Right now, it's at 213. Yeah, that's about. Sir?
What is it?
This is 213. And I got a little thing right here on my arm that keeps sending me this stuff. I say, man, you sick. You're in bad shape. But here's the deal. My wife knows all of that. if I ask her for a kiss, what should she do? She first off shouldn't be eating all that stuff in front of me.
She should have given you a real kiss.
Because she knows I'm going to be fiending after that met. She knows that.
Mr. Barnell.
Yes. Yes.
Are you blaming your wife?
Yes. He asked if I was blaming my wife for my, yeah, she the one, she bought all these, she buy these big old sacks of the stuff, you know. I say, honey, what you gonna do with all them kisses? I'm gonna eat them. What do you think of?
Yeah, like
you know.
you just said, you say, she knows that.
Yeah, she knows.
She knows it.
She knows. She knows I really want it. She knows I'm addicted to it. She knows I'm a diabetic. She knows, and she's sitting right there unwrapping them, and she unwrapping them real slowly. And
I'm trying to help you build your willpower.
she trying to help me build my willpower. But then when I say, honey, would you give me one of them? She hand me the whole thing. What she ought to do is give me one if she's going to give me any. But she shouldn't give me any. And so we need to, even though we have a stable home life, even if those people love us, care enough about us, and do all of that kind of stuff, they should be at a place where they make sure that whatever you're addicted to, you can't find it around them. You can't find it over there. If you, look, here's the deal. If you can go home and pick up whatever you're addicted to, that's an issue. It's an issue. And so you need not be there. Yes, sir.
So have you ever told your wife not to have that candy around you? Or do you want to?
See, I know you got issues, my brother. Are you out your mind? No, because see, he asked if I'd ever told my wife not to have that stuff around me. No, see, in my addict mind, this is why it's important for us to understand this. In my addict mind, I want her to have that around me. There was a bunch of candy at church, and she said, well, I don't want the kids having all that, so she put it in a big old bag, tied that bag up, and brought it to the house. I said, okay. The first thing I did was figure out how to untie that knot, get some of that candy, then tie it back so she couldn't tell. So she couldn't. I had to tie it just like. So that's what we do. So if our parents or if our wives or something come in, if I'm addicted to alcohol or if I'm addicted to cocaine or whatever it is, they bring some of it into the house and they've got it somewhere hid so I can't find it. Guess how long that's going to last?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to find it, right? I'm going to find that thing. We had, back at Christmas, they gave all the little kids in the church a little card, and on it was one of those candy canes, all different flavor candy canes. So there's about 100 of them left over. My wife brought them all home. But there was a big old bowl from the grandkids come, they get a candy cane, and all that stuff. Guess how many of those candy canes are still there? No. I ate every one of them. Yeah, And my wife said, you must really like those things. No, some of them are terrible, but they got sugar in them. So that's why we need to know, even if we have a real good, is it a good idea to try to build our relationship with our family up from one of these lower levels to that level? To where they're supportive of us? Absolutely. But we still need to guard our recovery with our lives, because our recovery is our lives. If we don't stay in our recovery, are we going to die?
Not right then.
Absolutely. We're going to die. It's going to give us cirrhosis of the liver. It's going to give us some kind of heart attack or some kind of stroke or something like that. It's going to get us, or it's just going to make our lives so miserable that death would be preferable. A lot of us die. It takes our lives by suicide. It does it because not being here at all is preferable to living the way we're living. So we got to be careful about that. We have to know we want to build a relationship with a good, stable family, but that stable family has to be what it has to be. I appreciate you reading the Bible, but doing group, would you read it to yourself? If you're not going to be part of the group, that's fine. But at least don't read it out loud so everybody over here is watching you. If that's your intention, you got it done. But please a little lower, if you don't mind. So look, we're going to move up one more, and we're working toward it, and it's a really good thing. We're getting a better relationship with our family, and having a good, supportive, better relationship with our family is important. We need to do it. Look, and I tell people all the time, you need to stay away from old people, places, and things, right? And the old people, a lot of the time, are our family, right? And it's a hard thing. People can't tell. It's hard for me to tell somebody you can't go back to your family because that's your family. And it's important to have a good, solid relationship with our family. But if we don't have a good, solid relationship with our families, what do we do?
Stay apart.
We may need to avoid them for a while, but we also want to build on that. What's the one big thing that we have to get back in place before we can build a better relationship with our family?
Trust.
What is it?
Trust.
Trust. Trust. I will tell you this. You think your wife trusts you? You think that your husband, if you're over at Noah, you think they trust you? You think your parents trust you? You think anybody trusts you? Even I had somebody tell me the police were after him. Do the police trust you?
Oh,
No.
yeah.
They after me. Yeah, they don't trust me. They know that if they let me go, I'm gonna do it again. Gonna do it again. Yeah, so I have to work to build trust. How do I build trust?
Trust in yourself.
Trust yourself. You trust yourself? Took me a long time. Took me a long time to get back to that place where I trust myself, and I still don't trust myself in some situations. I'm not good. I don't trust myself to go and hang out at the liquor store. I don't trust myself to go hang out with somebody who's going to get drunk around me. I don't trust myself. There's a lot of places I don't trust myself. That's when my wife and I go out to eat quite often. She don't like to cook anymore, so we go out to eat quite often. But we have to make the distinction between bars that serve food and restaurants that serve food. You go to Cheddar's, that's a restaurant that serves food. But all over here is food. Families eating. You go that way in Cheddar's, it's a bar. Yeah, nothing but bar over there. Now, if you go to Floyd's. Floyd's is a bar that serves food. You go into Floyd's, the first thing you see is this huge big bar. It's just everywhere. You go, what's that one? West Peaks, what's it called? Twin Peaks. You go to Twin Peaks, nothing but a bar that serves food. It'll serve you a little food, but it's nothing but a bar. So you have to be careful about those. I don't trust myself to go to a bar. I spent a lot of my life in a bar. Did a lot of fighting in a bar. Did a lot of drinking, cussing, doing all kind of crazy mess in a bar. I don't trust myself to go back in there. Yes, sir.
So you don't trust yourself going to a bar.
I don't.
Because you feel like you're going to take it. They say those that keep going to the bar shop can get hammered.
That's exactly right. If you keep going to the bar, and I need to do that as well. But yeah, if you keep going there, I've had tons and tons of people tell me, well, I keep going. I continue to go there because my friends are there. I'm just there to play pool. I have a guy that used to be in our church, but he's not there anymore because we told him that, you're just not right about that. He's the same guy that I told y'all the other day that has the booze in his icebox, but he still goes to the bar to play pool.
Well, that's a red flag.
It is a red flag, and he's been doing that for 3 years. He's been sober for 3 years, but he has not been in recovery, and he doesn't understand the difference. someday it's going to get him. He'll make a mistake. Somebody's going to set a drink down beside him or something. He's going to pick it up real quick and take a drink or something without it. He'll think it's his Coca-Cola. Before you know it, he's got alcohol in his system. And, you know. And so, anyway, so we do want to move forward. We want to get our relationship with our family back to where it's supposed to be. Is it always going to work? No. Even though I'm really sincere and even though I really, really want that to happen, sometimes it's too far gone, right? Sometimes my family is too far gone. They're too far out there in left field for me to be a part of. If I'm going to be in recovery, I can't be a part of those people. Or I've done so much that there's no way that they're going to let me back in. There's no way for me ever to rebuild trust with those people. I rebuild trust by, and I don't trust myself in every situation, but I rebuild trust by doing the next right thing every time. I look at every situation, what's the right thing to do there? Do I always make it? Do I always do the right thing? No, but that's always my goal. I want to do the right thing every time. And as they see me doing the right thing, a little germ of trust is built there. So how long does it take to rebuild trust?
Lifetime.
It can take a lifetime. You may be able to rebuild trust with some people in 6 or 8 months. You may not be able to build trust with other people for the rest of your life. They know you. And they know what you did. And they know how many times you did it. And they know where you did it. And they know why you did it. And they know that you did it. No matter what you say. I'm never going to do it. No, okay. Yeah, I've heard you say that again. Because I've already gone. How many times have you made amends to people? I've already gone 35 times to some people and say, I'm really sorry about that. I'm never going to do it again. Yeah, right. Okay. You know, and they're looking for me to stay sober for 6 or 8 weeks. They're looking for me to stay sober maybe for 6 months. Because those are the people just like that guy I was telling you about. He's not in recovery. He's in sobriety and he's white knuckling it. Every day is a fight for him to make it. And he's made it 3 years and he'll tell you that every time. I've been sober for 3 years. I still go to the bars, man. I don't believe what them AA people tell you, dude. Okay. All right, calm down. You're sober. Yeah. Go, man, you need to have a drink. You know, come on, calm down. You know, you need to. So he's not in recovery at all. He's in sobriety. And there's going to come a day he's going to crash like, you know, an airplane that runs out of fuel. He's not going to make it forever. Drop like a rock. It's going to be bad. When it does happen, it's going to be bad. It's going to blow his family up. It's going to tear him. He's got a beautiful young wife and an ugly little daughter. Well, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate thing. She's about 6, and she took after her dad. And mom will put her picture on Facebook, and the mom is there, and the baby's there, and the mom is beautiful, and then the baby looks like a little mini of the daddy, and you're going, oh my gosh, poor little girl. You know, that's just not right. You know. But sometimes, look, we need to, when we go back, we need a solid family. But when we go back to that family, we need to make sure that family is supportive of our recovery. And if they are, you're not going to see all that stuff. So y'all just learned that my wife is not supportive of my recovery from my addiction to sugar. So if we move on a little bit, see, that's the middle ground. That's where, what does the middle ground mean? That's ambivalence. Remember we talked a little bit about ambivalence yesterday? What does that mean? There's good And there's bad. When we're talking about in our addiction, ambivalence means there's some good reasons for me to quit, but there's some good reasons for me to stay in using as well. There's some good things and there's some bad things. And so we want to try to get ourselves into the place where we understand the bad things so we can get away from that. When we're in ambivalence with our families, there's some really good reasons for me to go back and be involved with my family, but there's also some good reasons for me not to be involved with my family. So I have got to weigh those out and make sure that I can stay in my recovery if I go back to my family. So what do I do if I look at that and I say, you know what, there's this possibility that if I go back to my family unit, my recovery will be in jeopardy. What do I do?
Then you stay away from those.
You may have to. What about those folks who decide to go back anyway? Say it again? It is a high risk situation. But why would I go back? Because I know it's a high risk situation. Why would I go back?
You still, what you call it, sobriety. You're in sobriety, not recovery.
Yeah, you're in sobriety, probably not recovery. I'm really not ready yet. You know, and I ask the question all the time, how many people still have using friends? And it always amazes me that most of the group, I got using friends. Well, why do you still have using friends?
Because they're my friend.
Because they're my friends. Because I've known them my whole life.
Yeah.
Because they give you the shirt right off in your back. They're wonderful people. That's not the reason we keep those friends. Why do we keep those friends?
Just familiarity.
Yes.
They're the connection. They still have the drug. We ain't ready yet. That's us trying to get into sobriety, and that's what you're in right now. But if you're going to get into recovery and stay in recovery and stay away from the drug, you have to stay away from the druggie. You got to stay away from the people that you know that has the drug. That's why we keep the. And I've had people argue me down. That's not what I'm saying. No, that's not true. It's true. You just need to get out of denial and get to the place where you understand. The only reason I'm sticking with Bubba is because Bubba's got marijuana at his house. He's got alcohol at his house. He's got cocaine at his house. That's why I love Bubba.
Bubba got a party.
Yeah, Bubba got a party going on. You get out of here, Bubba.
Bubba gonna send you back to jail.
Bubba gonna help you out. When you get out of here, he'll have a little something waiting on you. Y'all know who Hollywood Henderson is, right? Y'all remember him?
Yeah.
He was a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah.
He was a cocaine freak. He went to treatment, but while he was in treatment, he said he didn't pay any attention at all to those people who were talking about marijuana. He said marijuana's not a bad drug. Marijuana's a good drug. And so although he said he listened to the cocaine thing, he listened to the alcohol thing, they started talking about marijuana, he just turned it off. And he ain't listening to that. So when he got out, one of his buddies came to get him, and when he pulled up, he had a Mercedes-Benz, which was Hollywood Henderson's car, and he brought Hollywood Henderson a fur coat to wear, and then when he got in the car, he had him a big old joint rolled up. So, he rolled away from there smoking a joint because, after all, marijuana is not a real bad drug. Marijuana is not a big deal. Marijuana is a child's drug. Marijuana is just light. It ain't no big deal. Before the night was over, he had already snorted a few lines of cocaine. Boom. Boom, blew him away. So it was, marijuana was the gateway to getting back. Any kind of drug that goes into your body can lead you back to where you want to be. So that's why we keep contact with those old friends of ours, is because they have the drug that we're going to be looking for when we get out of here. Now, if your family is still using even if they're solid on every other thing, they support you 100%. They want you to get into your recovery. They love you. They take care of you. They're sending you some money to put on your books while you're here at treatment. They're doing all of that kind of stuff, but they're still using. It's problematic. Problematic. So, and here's what's really problematic for me. I worked for the prison system for 16 and a half years, and when people would get out of the prison, we were required to send them back to their own county, send them back to their own house, because other counties don't want you. You know, if you fell out of Jefferson County, Chambers County doesn't want you. You know, they've got enough of their own bad actors. So you got to go right back to the same mess that you were in before you. And everybody, look, when you go back to your neighborhood, everybody knows you, right? Especially if you're an addict, if you use, everybody, every person that's trying to sell drugs, every person that has a business going on the street knows you as their customer and don't want to lose you, and so they're going to be right back there to get you. So we need to understand sometimes geographical escapes are good, but what happens with a geographical escape? What happens if I move from here and go to Montana?
It doesn't matter. You will find it if we have it.
Yeah. Yeah, because no matter where you go, there you are. There you are. And so everywhere you're going, you're taking an addict with you. And if I go to Montana, if I go to Cucamonga, if I go to Africa, wherever I go, if I'm ready, I'm going to go looking for it, and I know where to look. I know where to look. You know, every addict knows where to look. You know, myself, I can just go to HEB right down the road. There's an HEB right down there. There's a Kroger right down there. There's Walmart right down the road, and they all got all kind of booze. There's also 2 or 3 liquor stores down there, so it's not hard, right? I mean, it's all over the place. So on the way, if I go to North Oak, there's a little store about a half a block from it, and so you can go in there and get all kinds of crazy mess. Y'all don't be running down anything. So, who we do want to move. We want to get to that place. We want to get to a better place. The next place is our family are willing partners. They're people who are going to help us. That's why they're there. You view your family and loved ones as willing partners, or at least those key members who will remain close to you. While some minor conflict resolution or relationship repair needs to occur, the overall health and stability of your family relationships is strong. So you know that's a good place for your family to be, isn't it? It's a good place for you to be in your family. You have a family that is strong. You have a family that is loving you. You have a family that cares about you. All of that kind of stuff. There's a few things that they really need to be worked out in your family, but they're not to the point where you can't get them worked out, right? And that's a good thing. So what do?
Work them out.
You work them out. You figure out just like they tell you to go and be do amends when you need to do amends. Do we need to do amends to our family? 90% of the time we've done something that our family needs us to talk to them about. I need to go back and tell my mother that I'm sorry, and I've done that. I've written a letter and all of that stuff to my mom because I stole her jewelry. And my mother was a very poor lady, and she didn't have much jewelry, but what she did have, I stole a whole bunch of it so that I could do what I needed to do. Because I wasn't concerned about her, I was concerned about me. But before I got to where I needed to be, my mom had already passed away. And so I went and You know, I wrote the letter and apologized to her for all of it. And that wasn't the only thing I had done. You know, that's just one of the things I had done. But I did a whole bunch of other stuff. And all of those things that I did, I wrote in that letter and said, hey, you know what, I apologize and I'm making amends and I'm real sorry about that. So even though we have a good family, if we have a family that we look upon as our partners in this, and a lot of people do, we need to know that there's still some issues there, you know. And whatever, look, we may not even see the issues. We may not know the issues, but let me assure you that your family knows the issue, right? Yeah, they know, they remember, they got it locked in up here, and so that's the thing that they're holding right there, and they know that that still may happen again in their life. And let me share this with you. I saw a thing I was watching a thing this morning on television or Facebook or something where they were trying to play some golf somewhere, and this guy showed up out there drunk as a skunk, and he was just, man, he was in people's faces, and he was going really nuts, and he was acting a fool. Finally, the guy threw him in the lake. He come dragging his butt up out the lake and went back in his face again. The guy knocked him down. And then, you know, his other partner was trying to keep him from doing anything, but the guy got back in his face. The guy grabbed him by the shirt, punched him about 6 times in the face. He was asking for it, but he knows it. And I guarantee you, they all knew this guy. So those people will never forget that. That they're never, ever, he messed up the golf game, but that's not the big deal. I mean, this guy had to fight his friend. You ever have a fight with a good friend? Yeah. Do you enjoy that? No, I don't want a friend in my life that I got to fight. I don't like to fight anyway. The older I get, the more I don't like to fight. So, I just end them real quickly. So you just call the ambulance before you start something. But our families are like that. There's those things that they have forgiven us of. They've become our partners. They're going to help us. They're going to do all of those things. To help. They're going to send us to treatment. They're going to be here to pick us up, to take us back home. But never forget that they never forget. Right? They know. And so they're going to be watching. They're going to be taking account of all of the things that we've done back down through the years. So look, we have one more. We're not going to begin it until after our break. So y'all go take a break, and we will see you back here at 11:15, 10:15. See you back here at 10:15.
Nobody said that.
Did you have that coffee that was over?
Yes, did you get my coffee?
But I ain't now.
Good morning. You know what I did?
No, I just pulled it out.
Oh, you're good. It's good. No, I sat it down to pour out that spoon stuff.
I went to the restaurant.
You were trying to keep everything straight.
And I went to the restaurant and I put my coffee over the side in order to keep taking in the restroom. And I just walked back out and then I see my mind. I didn't know my mind. I grabbed yours. And I seen you when you walked over there. I thought, like, I'm sorry.
It's all right. It happens. Hey, it happens. I know I had to empty that water out that spoon was in and get some clean water. That thing was looking rough. Look, I just give you another cup. Daniel, you okay?
Oh.
So, what is it? I know, I think it's about time to retake my son. I think it's ready for school.
The school never started until September. Never started until
Look, yeah. Like I remember when I was in school, it was like the very end of August. So I don't know when my son goes back.
What way did the emergency mean? Put it in?
He'll be a junior.
I don't know days.
And, so my younger kids will be going to private Christian schools, and they saw her, which P&G and all that probably start the same day because she told me they tried to speak with the calendar.
Let's go to August 13th.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's a Wednesday.
I know, I do that.
Right.
I don't know. I'll see it. That's what I did. I'm sorry.
Like forward and all that. Put in a bill or something. Like, school year longer and some shit.
Wow, everyone's school. Another Thursday. 10 hours a day. Maybe not quite 10. But they would go,
Don't teach them nothing about actual adult living. You know, like a whole, so everything on sale. I've been to schools.
it's very much that. It's a joke. It's worldwide.
I was saying stuff, right? Yeah, I pulled the younger one out of the school. They were pushing me, MJ, on ADHD. So I was like, I don't want to take it. So when they had to take me to the child psychologist, and then they don't even really like try to
Also, that
yeah,
that's
so
all
like
that's what they
and really like he didn't assess him.
I
To
think
be
it's
honest with you, he didn't assess him, and I'm like, what about cognitive therapies? What I'm thinking, he just writes prescription. So I told him I don't want anything like amphetamine or anything like that because of being his dad and our family's being addicts. But whatever they prescribe, I don't think it's being so long ago. I was looking at it online, like the side effects, so like the common side effects, and you have to make sure that you take your child so many times a year to have their height checked when they're taking it because it stunts their growth. It stunts their growth. And a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, to my kid, there's no way in hell I didn't even pick it up from the pharmacy. So it's basically like, if I don't put him on the medication, they won't pass me on. But if I put him on the medication and go with the diagnosis, he could pass.
So his grades,
Yeah.
his grades not being a factor.
Exactly, because he would be diagnosed with I can't think of the right word that I want right now, but because he would be diagnosed with ADHD, they would just pass it.
He is very happy. And two days they will try to do something. And you said, and two said they will try to do something.
Yeah, and
Two act they will try to do something strong down there. Two told they will try to do something.
and he doesn't get in any trouble at school. Right. It's like he has no behavioral issues from ADHD. He's like me. The little black boy version of me, and then I have the 16-year-old brown version of me. The boys act just like mom. No, I got 2 mixed and 2 white beers.
But I've never been prescribed Adderall, but when I check this Adderall, it has the exact same effects on me.
Me too. Me too.
And then it was
Exact same. Did you take Adderall? I know you do meth.
My wife,
It make you feel like meth, like you do meth.
it's a little bit, but it makes
Not as strong.
like more focused than anything. My
It
wife-
made me feel like I smoked
It didn't make
a
me-
line of meth.
My wife did it right. I had never did it. I had other people that was funny. I never did it. And one night I just took my wife pills. I ate about the night. I had smoked her. Next thing you know, I'm doing food stuff. Next thing you know, I'm full all night till like 7 o'clock in the morning. She's like, they don't even take it at night time. She's like, I don't know why. Next time she's like,
It'll keep going for a long time. But then sometimes I've taken it and it gives me like Adderall supposed to be people that have ADHD. I've taken it before, yeah, it slowed me down. I took it one time and went to my grandma's and laid on her couch and took a nap. And my cousin which my cousin woke me up, she was like, did you take that? And I was like, yeah. She's like, girl, you need Adderall. And the only reason I took it is because we were at a full weight station and there was a cop. And we was like, oh shit, they always mess with us, they know. Yep, so I ate it. And but it does, it makes me feel like I relapsed and I don't like that.
And I can't imagine giving that to a child. That's crazy.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it's like you said, rather than trying to
It's legal meth.
or find legal time other methods, they just
Yeah, and he took my word, you know, in the school, and I understand that the school, that they have experience with stuff, but he did nothing to assess my child, to talk to me about that.
But they get kicked back.
And he did ask me questions, you know, about him, because I'm his mom, and I know he thinks a lot, because he showed signs of little, like, the way, put line his cars up across the counter in the kitchen, and they were just bumpers to bumpers, just perfect. But other times, focus long enough to get dressed out the door. Like, you're like, get ready, let's go, put his clothes off, and then somewhere doing something like, where's your socks and shoes? His socks on, he's running around, but when he gets focused,
One day, I've never seen that movie, what's his name? I'm on the cafe where he's, Shutter Island. Where he's on his island, and it's a place for mental patients.
no, I haven't seen that, but I've heard of it.
So he don't know if he's a patient or if he's living this protection. And so this guy don't want to work. This is shit that I need to go take care of. It's all on this side. We're debating on one night. You know, the cafe. Patients or he's living in this was like 2 days. I sent an email to the author, the program that was going on, the little best on, the directors of the movie, and wrote a 2.5-page paper. I wrote a 2.5. I had another important shit that I should have been focused on.
Trying to figure out what's going on with that. Sugar Island, I've heard of
It's
that.
good. It's really good. I probably won't agree with it, but it's really good. Not to worry about it, okay? So what is this? I'm telling you, you texted without the you can email them, I'm like, yeah. And the director just took
All right, time for us.
You pull the top, and I'm like, so I wrote this thing.
All righty then. Just a couple more seconds. So if you're just filing in and finding a seat, So we have one more of these family things. Then we're going to look at the borderline behavior traits real quickly. We'll be quitting just about 5 minutes early so that I can get to where I need to go this morning. So we talked about some of how good it was to have family members as willing partners in our recovery. Excuse me. If indeed that's true, that they are indeed willing partners, we need to have our families as willing partners. So the final thing that it has on here, and this is one of the best places, or this is the best place that we can get to with our families. And what we're supposed to be doing, you are supposed to be looking at all of these family scenarios to see which one fits for you. Each one of us probably has a place where we fit in here. So this last one says loyal and honest. You've established relationships that exemplify reciprocal loyalty and honest, in which you and the other party are generally and mostly interested in actions that are mutually beneficial. Missteps and conflicts are rare and evolve from genuine unintentional conduct or actions. What's all that mean? What does reciprocal mean? If I have a reciprocal relationship with you, what does that mean?
It's beneficial to both parties, but not in as like a using way.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. He said it's beneficial to both parties, but not in a using way.
No one's going to take advantage.
Right. I'm not taking advantage of you, and you're not taking advantage of me. That's a good relationship, but it can be reciprocal. Reciprocal just means I do it to you and you do it back. We're the same way with each other. So I'm being loyal and honest to you. I'm being somebody that you can trust, and you are somebody that I can trust. Can we get to a place, or can we have a family like that even in our addiction?
Yes.
Yeah, we can. There are some people out there that haven't really gone to the level that I went to. I haven't really gone to the place where I did a lot of damage. I did a lot of damage to my family, but there are people out there who did not do that type of damage to their family. And in those families, they can have this reciprocal relationship where they have loyalty and honesty with one another, right?
Right.
Is that a good place for us to want to go?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to be able to do that. Yes, sir?
Okay, reciprocal. He treats you, but you want to be treated where you treat someone. You treat them good, with respect. Treat them good, you treat them with respect. You want the same thing.
That's exactly right. Just like, don't you want respect?
Yeah,
So do I.
I
Yeah,
gotta give
and
I want respect. I gotta give respect.
This is true. This is true. So and he made a really good point.
I want respect. I gotta give respect.
If I want respect in my life, then I have to be reciprocal and give respect in my life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So what is respect? What is respect? A lot of people look at that as differently, right?
Yes. Honoring another person's request.
Honoring another person's request.
Treating someone with dignity.
Treating other people with dignity.
Yeah.
That's respect. Right? What else?
Appreciating their concerns.
Listening to and appreciating the concerns that they have. When someone in my family comes and says, hey, you're doing too much of this, then you should listen to that, right? Now, my wife told me just the other day you're working too much.
I say doing what's virtuous to somebody.
Say it again?
Doing what's virtuous to somebody, treating them right.
Yeah. Yeah. And making sure that you're listening to them the way that you want to be able to understand what they're saying. Right? So that you can be respectful for their point of view. Right? So she told me I was tired. I do a lot on Saturdays. I do a whole lot of stuff because I'm up here 5 days a week. On Sundays, I'm at the church. And on Saturdays, I'm visiting for the church. And I visit right across the street from our church is a big old apartment complex. I visit that thing nearly every Saturday. And they have upstairs and downstairs. And when I started three years ago, going up those stairs wasn't all that hard. This Saturday, it was a little harder. So I'm getting a little older, but it's not that. I'm in pretty good shape and all of that kind of stuff. But my wife told me, well, you're working too hard because you're working in the yard. You got enough already. It didn't take you long. So if you're respecting somebody, you listen to what they have to say. And then look, do you have to do everything that somebody tells you? Is it respectful for you to do everything that somebody tells you?
No.
What do? You can compromise. You need to take a look at it. Sometimes people are telling you things that may not be for your own benefit. So you need to be, smart enough to take a look. Yes, sir.
Well, you said your wife telling you you're working too hard. But she might be telling you you're working too hard because she cares about it.
Well, I'm sure, of course. Yeah, she does. And see, we had a friend. We went to a funeral on Friday. A friend of ours who was a church member and all of this stuff. He was an MMA fighter, and he was some type of martial arts guy, and he was an ex-Marine. Well, he was a Marine, and he worked out all the time. And they found him with all his workout material all around him, his barbells and everything. So they're assuming he had an aneurysm from working out real hard and all that kind of stuff. And so I think she got because I go work out 3 times a week. And she made mention of that. She said, you're working out 3 times a week. You're going down there and you're working all that hard and all that kind of stuff. And so I think she's afraid I'm going to fall over dead. So, yeah, she's doing it. And because she cares about me. And the fact is that if I go, she can't open bottles of water. She wouldn't have anybody to open her bottle of water. So maybe she's thinking a little bit about herself too. But we're going to respect other people. How do we begin to respect other people? What's the first thing?
By giving respect. By listening.
Giving respect, taking a look, trying to figure out just what's respectful. What is respectful? And then we take whatever is respectful and put that into our family and see if we can't be a little more respectful to our family. Right? One of the things is listening to other people. And I'm not talking about in here. I'm talking about just in your life, in your recovery. You're going to have people that's going to try to tell you all sorts of things. And you need to be respectful enough to listen to what those people have to say, especially if those people are your family members. Now, this is something we don't usually like to hear, but if that person is your family member, you owe them at least enough to listen to what they have to say. Now, if it doesn't pertain to you, we used to say in the prison system, let it fly.
Yeah,
just let it go. If it don't apply, let it fly. Yeah, and that's a yeah.
I heard saying there's more important to listen than to talk to you. Listen more than you talk. It's more important. I heard that.
Well, listening is 50% or more of good communication. So it's respectful for you to listen. There's people in the group here that get about 20% of it because they're rolling back and forth and they're getting coffee and they're getting food and they're leaving the group to go out of here and they're going down the hallway or whatever. So that's not respectful. That's where you begin respect. Because if you can't respect other people here, are you going to be able to respect them when you get no? Because you're not practicing respect at all. Or if you bring other material with you, and even if it's great material, and you're studying that and reading that and all of that stuff, that's not respectful. So if you can't, we need, all of us, myself included, and I'm going to guarantee you this, I work at being respectful. So if you're talking to me, I'm going to listen. Whatever you have to say. That doesn't mean you're always right. That doesn't mean I'm always going to take your advice and head in the direction you're telling me to head in, but I'm going to know what you think about it at any rate, because I'm going to listen to you. Right? Yes, sir.
Practicing good morals, like if I meet females, mom or dad or grandma first time, if I'm yes sir,
Yeah.
yes ma'am, no sir, no
Yeah.
ma'am, thinking up behind myself,
Right.
That's very respectful.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And one of the things that I'm going to do is look at the person I'm speaking to and try to figure out what they think is respectful. If you have a lady, I have in my church, there's some ladies in there that's in their 80s. And I'm going to guarantee you they feel like it. See, I'm 71. I'm not that much younger than them, but I am younger than them. And I guarantee you, to them, me saying, like you said, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, all of that stuff to them, that's respectful. And they see that as respectful. We have some other folks in our church, some ladies, who are 17 or 18. I yes, ma'am, them, and no, ma'am, them as well. They find it funny. They don't see it as being respectful. They just see it as being goofy. Yeah, so you got to know who you're talking to. And when you're talking to the people in your family, the same thing. You have to give them that respect. So it's a good thing, and we should be wanting to get to that place in our family where we have that ability to be loyal. And when I'm loyal, what's that mean? You're being respectful, but look, here's the thing too. If I'm loyal, yeah, you can be dedicated to that person, but I'm loyal. I'm your best cheerleader. I'm on your side. Who's the most loyal person in your house? You think yourself? In my house, the most loyal person is Samson. Samson's my wife's dog. He's going to love her. He's going to listen to her. He's going to support her. He's going to be 100% behind her all the time, no matter what. No matter what. There are times I'm not quite like that, but Samson's always like that. So if I'm going to be loyal to somebody, I'm going to be in their corner all the time. I'm going to support them as long as what they're doing is the right thing. Yes, sir? You got something? Well, this time you had your finger up.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're waving at the girl. That's a good disrupting. Yeah. Say it again.
I was trying to get her. She just called me.
She called you because you waved at her as she was walking by. Hey, can I go with you? And then she said, and then you said, okay, go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
what you just said, just came to me. When you said something, you said who's the most God for God, and I think you're going to say a person.
Yeah, okay.
But then you said your wife dog.
Yeah.
And then I heard a phrase one too that dog is man's best friend.
Man's best friend, but he don't know the difference between man and woman, I don't guess. So here's the deal. This being loyal also helps us get to the place where we can be honest. I can really actually tell you how I feel about things. And one of the things that I have worked at really hard is to be honest, right? So what do we have to have in our recovery? The very first thing, we need to get honest with ourselves. Because if I'm honest with myself, that's going to get me out of denial right away. Because we all do have issues. We all do have a problem. And so if I'm honest with myself first, and if I'm honest with other people, helps me being honest with myself. Right? So it says, look, we're loyal and honest. We have established relationships. We have a real established relationship with our family members. We don't have to wonder about whether or not that person is in my corner, whether or not that person cares for me, whether or not that person loves me, or anything else. They are in my corner, right? We have established those relationships. And that's where we need to be at some point. We need to get it out to where we need to work on our relationship with our family until we have a good, solid family relationship, right?
Right.
All right, so we're going to look at this real quick. We still have plenty of time. So, this is our family. If you notice up here, we got this person's really sad. She's just sad. This person's angry. This person's nonplussed. That means he don't know what's going on. He's just looking at all this kind of mess. So, this is how our family's usually going to be. Because what's your family made up of? The different personalities. It's a good way to say it. Different things. People are different. They have different personalities. And even if they're family members, you're not going to find 3 or 4 family members and all of them be exactly alike. And you're able to deal with them all on the same level because they're all exactly alike. So we're going to have different personalities that we're going to have to deal with in our very own family. And that may be a little bit weird, but that's the way that is. So here's the deal. Sometimes we as addicts have borderline behavior traits or borderline personality traits. What are those? What does that mean? Yeah, that's true, but there are specific traits, and I put some of them up here. If you have a borderline personality traits, you suffer from being impulsive and risky behavior. So what's impulsive and risky behavior?
Liability.
Say it again?
Liability.
It is a liability. For us, a lot of us, I know that in my own life, I'm impulsive. I used to be way more impulsive. But, I'm guaranteeing myself I'm not going to do that again. But when I drive by the liquor store, I just pull in. For years, I blamed it on my car, But it ain't the car. It's my own personality. I'm impulsive, So I just pulled in. I need one of those. I have the money. I'm going to get it, So impulsive behavior, look. Impulsive, this is what borderline behavior traits are. Impulsive and risky behavior, such as gambling. You know that gambling is an impulsive and it's a risky behavior. What are you risking when you're gambling?
Money.
Yeah, your money, finances. If you have an addiction in your life, can you become addicted to gambling?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they have Gambling Anonymous. Because people go to the boat all the time. They spend what? All of their money. And they sell the house and sell the car. And then all of the money that they had for food and shelter and all of that stuff, they spend it because they just want one more pull. Yeah. One more pull. Dangerous driving. I was coming to work this morning, and a guy went around me 150 miles an hour in a truck that was rattling and rolling, and he was doing all kind of crazy mess. So dangerous driving is impulsive. It's also stupid, but it is one of these borderline personality traits. You see those people out there that are aggressively driving. Those people are not. That's just not a good thing. When somebody dies, they have a wreck, they kill something, even if they kill themselves, it's still a tragedy, isn't it? And so if they kill somebody else, it's a tragedy. There was a guy that was over here from somewhere, and he was driving like that, and he went across the median, ran into a young couple who was coming back from somewhere, killed both of them. She was 18 and he was 19. Okay, that's impulsive and risky behavior. Now, the deal is that if you're going way too fast, you can't control your vehicle all that well. And you wind up having an accident and killing somebody. So that's not good. Unsafe sex.
Yeah.
What is unsafe sex?
Oh, that's great.
But until you catch HIV. It's great, it's fun, it's exciting. So is STI. So is syphilis. Syphilis is really fun and exciting. I guarantee you get it. It's exciting. No. You're the one who thinks it's great and it's wonderful. But look, it can cost you really big. The day that you wake up, somebody says, "Hey, you have HIV." At that point in time, okay, your whole, complete, total other life is changed. So it's just unsafe sex. What's safe sex?
Protection. Leaving your wife or your girlfriend to go get tested before you go there. Protection.
Yeah, just there's all sorts of protection out there that you can use to have protected sex.
Keeping it within the family.
Yeah, keeping it within the family, being monogamous. What does monogamous mean? That means just you and one other person. And that, yeah. What's abstinence?
I
just ain't doing that. Just ain't doing that. So if we're not doing it at all, that's the best way to be sure that you ain't gonna catch any of that stuff. But if you say, well, I can't do that, then you become monogamous. You find one person, and that person you can stay with for the rest of your life. So that's the best way. If you're not going to do that, then they're stuck. Yeah. If you get a little baggie that like those little Ziploc bags, fill it full of gasoline. That'll help kill some of the germs. Don't do that. But we do need to be using condoms and stuff like that. It takes some of the risk away. Does it take all the risk away? No, it does not.
99% of it.
Maybe 99%, 97%, something like that. It doesn't take all of it away because why not? Those things will tear and they will rupture and they will break. At that point, any failure at all is a complete failure, right? And they have those sheepskin ones. Is that good?
That's the old school ones right there.
Well, they still sell them. So there's people out there that don't know it, so that makes it not old school. They sell them every day. People buy them every day and use them every day, and they're worthless. The sheepskin have little tiny holes in them, and they will usually protect from pregnancy, but they won't protect from an STI. And then they have the ticklers that have all of those things on. It's like teaching 12. It's like teaching 12 years old. Those are dangerous because all the little protuberances and those things they will break.
Yeah.
And they will have holes in them, especially if you keep them in your back pocket. Because I know some of you guys, I mean, y'all act like you're Don and Juan all together, but you keep one of those things for like 35 years hoping. And, and then by that time it's worn out, it's got little holes in it, and all that stuff. So those are very dangerous to do. And so you need to make sure you don't have spending. Sometimes we'll go on spending sprees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I don't do that. I grew up with no money, and so I don't spend money. But thank God I married a woman who can spend it without compunction. She can go to the store and man, it's all over with. But a lot of times we go a spending spree. Is it wrong to spend your money? No, that's what we work for, so that we can go and we can buy the things that we need, food, shelter, and all of that kind of stuff. So what is a spending spree?
We buy stuff we don't need.
We buy stuff we don't need with money we don't have.
That's right.
I watch people all the time. They'll have a whole big basket full of stuff, and they'll pop out the card. Now, I use a card every time I go somewhere, but I have a debit card. That means that takes money right out of my bank. And what's really bad about it is that when the money comes out of my bank, it alerts my wife. Isn't that crazy? I can't go anywhere. If I go buy a cup of coffee at McDonald's, she knows it. And she told me about that the other day. You're spending too much money. You go to that McDonald's over, it's $2 and something for every cup of coffee you go with. So
you go to the ATM and people talk.
And I'm going to go look at this man. Go to the ATM and look. See, now I know I've seen him do some, and he's had some really good questions and answered some questions. So I know he's pretty smart. But he's sitting down there telling me he don't believe that money coming out of the ATM is going straight to my wife's thing and telling her I'm pulling money out the ATM. That's exactly what she needs to know. What you got that money out that ATM for? She's going to know that. All of that, any transaction goes to her phone.
You can't say charge.
Oh, no. No. Oh, no. That's that. So a spending spree is spending money buying stuff that I don't need with money that I don't have. Because when you're using a credit card, that's money you don't have. But they're going to be expecting you to pay it back, right? So, spending spree is really bad. How about binge eating? Yeah, that's real impulsive and risky behavior. Have you ever done that?
I got one every day.
Yeah.
It's around $20 a spot.
Oh yeah. We have people in group in here that's eating 4 days worth of food. About to pass out because, they're eating so much food, it's about to put them to sleep. But I have done that. Eat a little something because I want a little something, but then after that, continue. It's like yesterday we ate pizza at church. I had 2 pieces of pizza. 2 pieces. That's it. That's all. But there was enough pizza that my wife took a whole pizza home. And I'm thinking about it. And she'll freeze it. She'll freeze it, and then she'll pull a piece out when she's hungry to eat a piece of pizza. But I told her, look, you relax. You sit down. I'm gonna take that pizza out of the box, put it in the Ziploc bags, and put that in the freezer. She said, no, I'll do that, because she knew if I did it, I'm going to eat another piece of that pizza, maybe 2 pieces of that pizza. There have been times when I'm sitting down at night, my God, I've eaten enough. So binge eating, we don't need to be doing any of that stuff. Of course, we know that it is impulsive and risky behavior when we're using drugs. When you get some drugs off the street, what's in it?
You don't know.
You don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows. Your autopsy may show what you took, but you don't know what you're taking. So drug misuse, sabotaging success. How would you sabotage your own success? Relapsing. How about quitting a really good job? Yeah. My dad did that one time. Dad was working at a Crusoe factory there in Mississippi, making plenty of money, and he quit that job and went to work at a service station because the girl at the service station had smiled at him. His dad was an addict. So he quit a really good job, and back then he was probably making $25,000 a year. But you got to remember, this was 55, 60 years ago. That was a lot of money. $25,000. And so he quit that job to go over there where he's making maybe $6,000. Yeah, went from having plenty to back to starving again. And so, that was impulsive and that was risky. So my dad did that kind of stuff all the time. Suddenly quitting a good job or ending a positive relationship. If you're with somebody that's really, it's a positive thing, they're helping you in your recovery, then that's probably a relationship you want to nurture. Probably a relationship you want to continue in. Probably a relationship that's good for you, right? But if you end that just unnecessarily, I'm going to get rid of that, I'm going to run that fellow off, I'm going to run that girl off, I'm going to do this, and that's going to hurt us in the long run. We know that. But you got enough time? Yeah, you got plenty of time. You'll be here. How about threats of suicide, self-injury? Is that impulsive, risky behavior? Not doing it, but just telling somebody I'm going to do it. If I'm going to go tell somebody I'm going to commit suicide, is that risky behavior?
Yes.
Yeah. If you don't believe so, tell your counselor. I'm going to guarantee you right away something's going to happen. It's not going to be pleasant. Something's going to happen. So, threats of suicide. If I'm telling people, hey, look, I'm going to commit suicide, all of this kind of stuff, that's bringing unwanted attention to you. Now, if you really seriously feel like that you're about to do something like that, you seriously need to tell somebody, right? If that's running through your mind and you think it might actually happen in your life, you need to tell somebody.
If you're thinking about committing suicide, from the inside of your reach, I want to hear what you.
See, that's information that we really don't need. Is that impulsive and risky behavior for someone in a class filled with addicts to be telling somebody how to commit suicide? That makes a little sense. So don't do that. If they don't know, then it's okay, right? Because we've got an individual down here that's checking it out. How am I going to kill myself? Don't do that. So, often in response to fears of separation or rejection, that's why we do that. Somebody, look, if you leave me, what am I going to do? If you leave me, I'm going to commit suicide. If you leave me, I'm going to kill myself. Do people do that?
Yeah. They do that because they know somebody going to be.
Oh, you said your cousin?
Yeah. I had this fellow wasn't a client. This fellow was in our church at one time, and he told his wife, that if she left him, he was going to kill himself. So she left him, of course, and he killed himself, of course. He got drunk, got thinking about what he said, and blew his brains out. And was that a good thing? Of course not. So we don't ever need to say things like that. So this is borderline personality disorder, and sometimes when we have these issues going on with us, sometimes this is going to mess with us in our recovery. It will also mess with us in our family, because how many people know that when we are acting out on risky behavior, impulsive, risky behavior, it makes us less palatable to other people. And what does that mean? People don't want to surround them as much. People want, if you're going to be something you're going to do something that's impulsive, is it okay to be a little bit impulsive? Sometimes it is. We get up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to the beach today." That's okay sometimes. But being impulsive with risky behavior is certainly not okay. Okay, it's not okay. And when we do the impulsive, risky behavior around other people, they get to a place in their life they don't want us in their life, right? And that also goes for, and probably especially goes for our family. The family, if we're going to have this impulsive, risky behavior going on, what happens when we have a lot of impulsive, risky behavior in our life?
Something bad.
Something bad happens. Yeah. Can people get hurt?
Yeah.
People can get hurt. Can people get dead? People can die. All of these kinds of things. So we don't need to have impulsive, risky behavior. What if we do have impulsive, risky behavior?
Seek a psychiatrist.
See, go find a psychiatrist right now. You might need drugs. That's the deal. Now, that was funny the way you said it, but here's the deal. We need to look for the level of help that we need. We need to look for the level of help. We may need to go see a psychiatrist. We may need to go see a counselor. We may just need to go to group. We need to do something. Right? Yes, sir.
You prescribe meds?
No.
Okay.
No. No. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a psychotherapist. There's a difference. I do talk therapy, not drug therapy. The difference. Why, you want a little something? All right, folks, what we're going to do now, I really appreciate y'all coming. This class, I can't see North, but I'm sure North did a wonderful job. But this class did a really good job. Our goal was to learn a little bit more about where we were in our family relationship. And I'm thinking we did do that because we went through what we had here that's in the booklet. And we learned a little bit more about our family relationship and where we are in relation to our family relationships. That was our goal, yes, sir.
I really did.
Good. I appreciate that. He said he learned something and he appreciated the class. And again, this class in here, I want to tell you that I do appreciate you. I give you some good positive affirmations now because you did do a good group. There's a couple of people that's going to get spoken with after the group that, you'll know who you are when I come and say, "Hey, I'm talking to you." So, all right. Thank you. We will see you guys in the morning.
All right.